Two of the seemingly common races of our time are the Americans and the Europeans. You'd think they would be similar to some degree, but truly, they are very, very different. Here is an interesting comparison of the two breeds of people presented by Big Factz' latest video, Americans versus Europeans. Number 1. Americans love to think they control their own destiny. In 2014, a survey took place in which 57% of Americans said that they didn't think that success in their lives was out of their own control. This 57 percentage is quite higher than all of the European nations. Okay, before you accuse us of merging all of Europe into one entity, we will state that there are some differences in Europe as well. Some nations believe moreover having control in their lives, like the United Kingdom. Americans do love to do hard work. 73% Americans said that hard work is very important for getting ahead in life as compared to a European median of 35%. This belief is actually not random at all. This is a widely held American imperialistic cultural belief which was formed by American settlers in the 19th century. It is named Manifest Destiny, and it has three basic themes. 1. Special American virtues. 2. Mission of the United States to remake the West image. 3. The desire to accomplish the previous 2 points. Basically, they want to control how much success they have. This was born out of a sense of mission to redeem America's image, or perhaps it was used to slaughter thousands of Native Americans. Historians aren't sure. Number 2. Individual liberty versus the state debate. Land of the free. This is the most common phrase in America. Americans tend to value individual liberty and freedom of choice a lot. Nearly 6 out of 10 Americans believe that allowing people to pursue their passion without the state interfering would be a swell idea. They also do not care if this interfering is to ensure that the least amount of people in the country are in need. Majorities in all the European nations polled in 2011 and said that the state should prioritize ensuring that nobody is in need or is poor, rather than letting everyone pursue their dreams. This might go against the American dream and the land of the free, but what exactly is this mystical American dream that apparently everyone is dreaming about? Apparently, it can be anything from serving the U.S. to raising a family in a stable environment and leaving behind a decent legacy. But the most common view of the American dream is to be accepted and to accept other people as they are, to make America a place where everyone can come together as equals, and different views do not cause violence or even arguments. In Europe, there isn't a phrase like the American dream, or the European dream even. Number 3. There is much greater tolerance in the U.S. than in Europe towards offensive speech. About 77% of Americans believe that making statements that offend other people's beliefs is totally okay and should be allowed. This is much higher than the percentage of people in the European Union who share this same view. In Poland, Germany, and Italy, less than half the people think that this kind of speech should be legal. Moreover, Americans are way more likely to say these offensive statements about minority groups. Number 4. Religion is much less important to Europeans than it is to Americans. Again, some stats. Over half of the population in the U.S. say that religion is very important to them. This is double the amount of people who said the same thing in Poland. And Poland is the most religious of European countries. In France, only 14% of the population said that religion is very important to them. So U.S. is quite a religious country, and it does have strict values, despite what you might have seen on MTV. Number 5. U.S. citizens disapprove of adultery way more than Europeans. So Europeans and Americans definitely do not share the same views on morality, but their differences are particularly huge when the issue of adultery is broached. And we're not just saying this because France has a promiscuous reputation, which we have no idea if it's true or not. Let us know in the comments below. There are statistics to prove this claim. Just 30% of the people in the U.S. said that adultery is okay, which might seem like a too high number anyway, but it's quite lower than the European number. Infidelity is the one issue that Europeans seem to agree on. Across the 8 EU members, 65% of people say that infidelity is not okay. Of course, not all these nations think alike. For instance, in France, less than half of the population believes that infidelity is a big deal and totally unacceptable. Contrast this with America, where about 84% of the people view extramarital affairs as wrong. Actually, this moral debate isn't so easy because Americans are much more liberal than Europeans in many areas, including gambling and alcohol consumption. But when it comes to abortion, they are definitely not in with the liberal crowd. On homosexuality and premarital issues, Europe is the world's most tolerant region, and Latin America comes close. Very few Europeans see divorce as immoral, but these views are consistent with everyone else in the world. Of course, these aren't the only differences that can be cited between the United States and Europe. There is the economic side. Europe accepts capitalism, but puts limits on its harms, like informing social policies, of which there's a scarcity amongst Americans. They don't have access to proper education after high school, and we kid you not, their student loans literally kill. Plus, they have no free health care. If Americans get sick, unless they are rich or have insurance, they have no options. So these were some very major differences between these two people, but there are some very major similarities as well. Number 1. A majority of Americans and Europeans see immigrants as beneficial. So this one might come as a surprise, solely because of Donald Trump and his wall-building expeditions. It gives the impression that the majority of Americans do not really like immigrants, and we view them as burdens. This is opposed to European image formed, in which they are quite welcoming to immigrants. The latter is true, the former is wrong. Around 2/3 of the Americans say that immigrants strengthen their country due to their hard work and their talent. Only about 26% said that immigrants are a burden on the economy because they take resources like jobs, housing, and health care. In Europe, some 66% of the people said that the immigrants actually make economies stronger. Only Italy's views were slightly different, where 45% said that immigration is a good thing. 44% of the population said that immigrants are a burden on the Italian economy. So we can see from these stats that both Europeans and Americans can see the benefits of immigration, or at least a majority of them can. Number 2. Both support LGBTQ rights. LGBTQ rights are widely spread in many countries in Europe. 16 of the 28 countries that have legalized same-gender marriage worldwide are located in Europe. A further 13 countries have legalized unions and other forms of more limited recognition for same-gender couples, all at legal levels. There is some disparity in these stats because some gender partnerships are less common and have fewer legal rights and protections in Eastern Europe. They also have worse living conditions and less supportive public forums and opinions as compared to the LGBTQ people in Western Europe. But this disparity is not just in Europe. America is famous for being on the front line for many LGBTQ protection projects. Rights regarding LGBTQs practically developed in the United States in the recent decades, and most every single one of these laws were made by the United States Supreme Court. This process went on for 24 years and moved in between 5 buildings in Washington, D.C. The Supreme Court started by invalidating a state law that actually protected LGBTQ people who were rich, only the rich. Then it struck down some gender partnership laws. After that, it moved on striking down Section 3 of the Defense of Marriage Act. This was quite famous because it made the same-gender marriage legal. This also prohibited discrimination against transgender people in a workspace. This definitely does not mean that everyone is on board with these new laws. LGBTQ Americans face legal and social troubles that are not faced by non-LGBTQ Americans. This is quite popular in the largely conservative areas of the Midwest and the Deep South. This is also common in many Native American tribes. Moreover, LGBTQ-related anti-discrimination laws that affect housing and public services varies hugely by state. This means that some residents of some states are unprotected. There are 23 states plus Washington, D.C., Guam, and Puerto Rico who outlaw discrimination based on gender and orientation. There is an ongoing proposal called the Equality Act that is in the United States Congress, which would outlaw discrimination of any kind nationwide and not just in specific states. Most Europeans and Americans support certain rights for the LGBTQ community. In every Western European country but Italy, around 2/3 of the population said that gender partners should be able to adopt children. Italy has different ideas. It was the only country surveyed in which more than 50% of the population said that gender couples should not be able to adopt. So the acceptance of LGBTQ community was faster spread in America, but European countries are on the same path. Number 3, Americans and Europeans dislike elected officials. Turns out Western Europeans and Americans possess the same level of skepticism about elected officials. Around 6 out of the 8 European countries that were surveyed, more than half said elected officials couldn't care less what the people wanted or needed. In America, 2/3 of the population said that elected officials definitely did not act in a way that would benefit the nation, rather themselves. They also said they weren't holding their breaths, waiting for the officials to stop acting this way. Another similarity? They don't know if ordinary people would do a better job than elected officials. In both populations, 44% said that they didn't think that their own people could do a better job than officials, although France and Italy has a bit more confidence in their ordinary people. So these were some similarities and differences between Americans and Europeans. Did we miss something? Comment below and we'll pin the best one. Like this video and share it with everyone you know. Subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. This was Big Factz, bombifying your mind one video at a time.